Hi everybody. I wanted to send out this code for an immune system boost. Actually, I'm under the belief system that when we are in a certain vibration or in resonance with the organic living matrix of life, the resonance of life on this planet, the template of heaven on earth, actually there is no disease, and when we are in a certain vibration of connection with the living aliveness of all that is, we're in resonance with life, we're in resonance with aliveness, and in this frequency there is no sickness, so we can't get sick. And so this code or this sound frequency is literally addressing, I don't really know what part of the body this is, but I feel it in here. It's some sort of nerve that is working with the immune system. We're working to tune the resonance of our hormone and organ systems to be in resonance with the living matrix of Gaia consciousness. And so through this alignment of our love and appreciation and gratitude and resonance with all of life, we actually raise our immune system. And I think this is actually quite scientific. I understand that there's certain studies that have shown that if you are in a state of fear or anxiety, that this actually lowers your immune system. This is quite commonly known knowledge. So it only makes sense that if you are in a place of joy and connection with life and relaxation and peace, that this would naturally bring you into a place of higher immunity. So, yeah. Hello, everybody that is watching. I'm very joyful to share this natural vaccine for our consciousness. I've been working with this idea of vaccination for a long time because a vaccine, what its purpose is actually to um, bring us into a place of safety from viruses and different kinds of sicknesses. And so this isn't a vaccine where I take a frequency of the sickness or anything. It's more so just bringing in the frequency of non-virus. And I believe that everything exists in many dimensions at once. And just so as there is a physical manifestation of disease in viruses and bacteria and tumors, whatever physical manifestation of disease that appears in our body, also exists in other dimensions, as we have a physical body and we have a soul and multidimensional aspects. There are interdimensional aspects of diseases and parasites as well. So we're talking about viral consciousness and how many of these distorted thought programs exist in humanity, and how predominantly that is the frequency of fear and this fear of death, this fearing of death, and that comes from this fear of lack of life. And that lack of life actually comes from our collective suppression of feminine energy and sexual energy, because actually as we exist in a society, the life force that flows through us is actually what is nourishing us. Our connection to life force is what is actually nourishing us and keeping us alive. And we experience that through the things that we eat, and the things that we drink, and for others that are sensitive, through things that we smell and things that we experience. But ultimately, it is our exchange with life force itself that is sustaining our living aliveness. And so when we have a society of fear of lack, we can easily understand by seeing just how our sexual and creative energies are so distorted and suppressed and controlled in very many ways. And so in order for us to move beyond that fear of death, or the fear of lack, all we have to do is to reconnect with the organic matrix of life in which there is infinite love and nourishment. In prana, there's no lack on this planet. It's not like the angels came together. They're like, okay, we're going to build, the African continent, and we're going to build the Asian continent, and then we're going to build like half of the North American continent because there's not enough earth. There's not enough dirt. So we're going to go half-ass it on that on that continent. No, that's not how it happened. Everything, all the trees, all the animals, every perfect part of this ecosystem exists because there's more than enough life force energy. And that this is the main viral consciousness in our society, this lack of energy, lack of nourishment, lack of life force. And so when we begin to tune out of that frequency and tune into the organic matrix of life within which there is actually access to infinite energy, there is no more lack, and then there's no more fear of death. And when there's no fear of death, this viral consciousness is exiting out of our consciousness, and we actually realize that we are in sovereign choice and control of our life. If you are truly living your life, if you're truly alive, being this fear of death isn't something that is in resonance with that. And so these are natural codes of Gaia consciousness, which helps us connect to that field of energy within which we're connected to life and connected to the organic matrix within which there is actual abundance and an infinite amounts of energy and life force supporting creation. So the next consciousness antiviral that is coming through is moving from duality to infinity. Actually moving from not two to one to unity. Unity is actually a circle. It's actually infinity. And we say we're moving from duality to infinity. We're saying that there are infinite different ways to look at things. There's infinite numbers of angles to perceive things. And so if we are perceiving things from a certain direction, there's almost certainly 8 billion other ways to perceive that thing as well. So while we can believe that, this virus is this terrible thing and that people are dying, or we believe that, certain factions of the world is using this virus as a way to control mass consciousness, or some people believe that, there are forces of good that are using this virus as a distraction so that, other things can happen underneath the radar that are actually beneficial to what we all want. All of those things are probably true in some way, and that when we are very adamant about things, very adamant about our specific way of perceiving something, we actually feed into this web of conflict where we want to get into conflict, and conflicting energy is a viral consciousness, because when we think about viruses, they're literally kind of in conflict. Is our body being in conflict with ourselves? A part of the reality is in conflict with another part of the reality. And if the virus is inside of our body, then there's literally conflict energy happening. And so when we're able to perceive things from all different angles, not only do we relieve ourselves of the need to know things, which is such a burden, um, we allow everyone to be perceiving from their own perceptions whatever they need to be perceiving in that moment in their life, right? Whatever is serving that being. Remember, not all beings have the same destiny. Not all beings are wanting to exist in a certain frequency. And now, while the earth is moving into a certain frequency, those who are choosing not to exist in those frequencies must either transform or, become something else, or leave or do something else, right? This is like a collective decision. We are finished as a collective with parasitic consciousness. We are done with the pain and suffering as a way of learning. We're transitioning into learning and evolving through love. And so this is something that is happening on a planetary level. And so, yes, we can still allow other perspectives to occur, and we just have to focus on what it is that we're building. So we are building a world, we're creating a world of peace, of harmony, of love, of joy. We're creating a world where all children and all inner children are safe and supported and heard and loved. We're creating a world where there is no parasitism or energy or astral bodies being trafficked, or human bodies or energy being stolen or trafficked. We're creating a world where all beings are safe and loved and in joy. So when we understand that this is the kind of world we're creating, we also recognize that the universe has 80 billion times more the creativity and imagination that we do. And so we are in trust that the cosmos is unfolding in a way that is bringing us to what we're creating, because we're creator beings. And when we intend to create a world such as this, it is happening, it is coming. It might not come in a way that we understand, it might not come in a way that we imagine it to happen, but whatever the process is that is occurring, it is the highest occurrence. It is the fastest timeline with which that is happening. So with that understanding and this trust of the divine, of our own innate power as creator beings, because the divine is just us, our higher self, or our collective beingness. When we have absolute trust and faith in ourself as creator beings, there is nothing to fear, because we already know whatever it is that we're intending to create is being created. And we're trusting that we are functioning in multiple places, in our oversoul and our higher selves and our collective beingness to unfold that creation in ways that might seem surprising to our third dimensional self. So it is a very much releasing of conflict and conflicting energy when we are able to understand that we're moving from duality to infinity. And that it's not black or white, it's not us versus them, is actually there is infinite different angles to perceive, not just one. We're not moving from 2 to 1, we're moving from polarity to infinity on the spectrum, multidimensionality. Yes, I do believe that when we are in a state of celebration of life, that conflicting energies to life cannot exist in our body. There's very many layers of conflict that are clearing from our body, from our ancestors who may have experienced extreme poverty and strife and difficulty, or even in our own life that we've experienced lack and poverty. And so this next vaccination is an opening of the root chakra and connecting to the root chakra. This is my favorite thing lately because the New Age community loves to talk about the third eye and the crown and the ETs and the heart, but we ain't gonna be able to anchor anything if we are not solid in our root chakra. And that's where most of our viral beliefs and traumas are stored, in the root and sacral chakras. So when people talk about grounding, it's so much deeper than just, I'm turn the reverb down there for a second real quick. I just noticed it. When people think about grounding, we think about going outside bare feet and standing on the earth. And while this is absolutely a vital practice, super important, this is not a complete version of grounding. When we say grounding, we mean having our soul fully incarnate in our body, having our soul anchored through the root chakra. And a lot of people are very afraid. There's a resistance to coming down there because that is where we access collective consciousness. And there's a lot of fear, a lot of weird stuff hiding in the shadows. But this is also our way of actually being able to bend matter in this plane. We are creator beings. We're creator beings in this third dimension, in this physical reality. I know that when we say like whatever number D, like 3D, 4D, 5D, there's a lot of confusion because people can refer to different things with those same words. So I'm talking about being able to change things in the physical reality. So how many of us have been awake for 30 years and things barely seem to change in our external reality? Well, things cannot change in this physical, visceral playground until we are anchored in our root chakra. So this has been very difficult. There are a lot of light worker distraction campaigns against us actually coming into the root. So when we feel into the oscillations of our root chakra, it's much slower than our higher chakras. So when we, for example, receive a vision, a lot of us want to open up a healing center. A lot of us envision being in community. When we receive that vision, it's oscillating here in our higher chakras where there's no time. So it feels like it could happen right now. This is, the vision's here, so it's here. New Earth is here. I got it, but you know, we got to pull it through. So as we pull it through our body, this slows down, and actually is really important for it to slow down. This is why so many of us have been getting turtle medicine, to really begin to, why is the lower chakra slower? Is because there's more information. So while the image, the vision that comes through in no time, immediate expression, it's like bam, here's the healing center, and you see the building, but you don't really get many details, right? You don't get the details of how you found the money to get there. You don't get the details of, you know, who, which contractors, what kind of bricks you used, what trees are planted there. None of those details are actually present. So we get this really quick download of what we want, and then actually making it manifest in the 3D has been something that the light workers are having a hard time with. But this is actually what we're here to do. What our main mystery school is mastery in this lifetime, right? Mastering being a creator being in this density. Amazing, fascinating experience. How do we do that? The quickest way is by processing all the way down through into our root chakra. And as we come into the lower chakras, we recognize that time literally begins to slow down. Our experience, our energy body begin to slow down. And only in this speed of oscillation can we access the information that is there. So that means we get information about where we are currently in our incarnation process, where the collective is at, where the mass collective is at, right? Because our root and our EarthStar chakras are really connected to the mycelial network of life on Earth. So this is the true meaning of getting grounded, is actually coming into full awareness of the full spectrum of information that exists, so that we can gauge accurately and where we are and how we fit into the co-creation, and actually be oscillating at the right frequency of physical manifestation and physical creation. This way we're not trying to oscillate this fast and making things happen in 3D and just bumping into invisible walls. We're actually oscillating at the frequency of which physicality exists, so we can actually co-create with the planet. That's very important, right? Trees grow very slowly. Co-creation with the planet is a very important thing to tune into, because humans have been creating stuff out of resonance with her for a very long time, and no civilization that is out of resonance with the planet can last very long, for obvious reasons. And the way that we begin to oscillate with the resonance of the planet is by coming down into our root chakra. And here we have a lot of programmed fears. Our root chakra is where we have our understanding and belief systems about the reality. So if we grew up in an environment, say our parents were full of anxiety and fear and lack, and just was constantly needing to do stuff, and they had these ideas that unless you work really hard, you're not going to be supported, you're not going to be taken care of. Unless you sacrifice yourself, you're not going to be able to survive. All of those energies are very, if they were very apparent in our environment as we're growing up, which for the majority of us, I think we were, those energies are what gets inserted into our root chakra. So those are very deep belief systems. We can tap them out, but oftentimes when we're tapping and when we're clearing implants, they're surface level implants that can get reimplanted because the very root of those belief systems have not been dealt with. And the only way that we can access those super deep belief systems is by slowing down and actually accessing the frequency of which those implants and viruses are existing at. So for a lot of us, that is the root chakra. So again, between the ages of 0 and 7, we're developing our root chakra. If there are programs of sexual shame, distortions around money and abundance, distortions around energy exchange, all of those things deep in the sacral and the root chakra. If you grew up in a religious environment where we believe that, God is punishing and God is scary, so when we say God, our physical body equates that with the fabric of reality, right? Something that is omnipresent, something that is everywhere. So if we grew up in an environment where we believed, God or some guru or some being that's higher than us is consistently judging us on, how good we are, or, how not good we are, can be punished and go to hell and whatnot, we begin to live in this environment of fear where we literally feel like the fabric of reality is like against us, and that creates this conflict and tight energy. Again, this is the root of lack, right? Because and this is actually what clicks person into the false matrix, and how the false matrix then begins to siphon our energy because we're tuned into that frequency. So as we begin to retune our root chakra to realign to the organic matrix, where the truth is that the universe, the fabric of reality, is actually very loving. When we experience and really integrate, this root chakra feeling, as in it's not something we have to think about or conceptualize or speak a mantra about. It's just what is real. Just as, I have skin, this orange is orange. The universe is kind and loving and full of nourishment, right? That is actually the truth. And so here we realize that if we're not existing in that vibration, in that level of connection all the time, then there is still reconnection and healing to do, which is perfect. There's not really this goal. It's just we have to recognize what is normal? Normal is very root chakra, right? And if we think about what society deems as normal, then it's very easy to see that our root chakra is not oscillating in resonance with the actual normal in the universe, which is love and joy and creativity, access to creativity, infinite creativity flowing through, and creativity feels like excitement and joy and nourishment and love. So all of those feelings are the natural resonance of the root chakra. And again, if we're feeling fear and resistance or really going down there, know that this is actually the gateway to everything that you want to create and want to experience in this world. If there's any fear of being alive, if there's any part of you that does not want to be alive or feels like it can't remain alive without working really hard, all of those frequencies are the base virus in our root chakra. Choo, choo. So we're really slowing down, coming into the oscillation of creation upon this planet. And we move into this awareness that there is such a beautiful web of life. There is such a beautiful interplay of intelligence that is, we access this intelligence through our appreciation and our curiosity for the earth. Whereas the false matrix would like to believe that, trees are inanimate objects that they just do this process where they give us oxygen and that's about it. But so many of you, have relationships with plants and with elementals, understand that there's so much more depth and so much more magic and so much more happening in the ecosystem and the eco-intelligent exchange of all of life on this planet than meets the eye. So we as a humanity have a long way to go when we really tune into what being in resonance with Gaia, what being in resonance with the planet is. And it is only if we are in resonance with her can we create, sustainable and lasting creations or civilizations. Do, 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 do. Okay, everybody that's tuning in, I'm going to hop off. I am starting a Quantum Conversations with Lauren Gailey in 15 minutes. It's a free podcast. I'll be doing more singing. We'll be talking about creation magic. So it's starting in 15 minutes. I think you can find the link if you just Googled Quantum Conversations, and then it'll be like acoustichealth.com or something like that. And it's also on my Facebook page. So if you're free, definitely come tune in. It's going to be really beautiful. And yeah, I'll see you in 15 minutes. Otherwise, I love you so much. And see you next time. All right, my mouse pad is broken, so it's not letting me hit end live.